All right, guys, we are back with another version of Sudoku game, and this one is called pips, which is such a fun word. All it means is the numbers, the dots that you see on the side of a number cube like this, of a die. And so we are going to essentially solve this the same way that we did with our puzzle that had numbers, but this time we have to use our abstract thinking. We have to add a little bit of extra challenge and think, what are they showing us here? This one is a little bit trickier than our last puzzle because it doesn't give us the numbers in their completed form. It shows us some parts of each face of the number cube with the pips. And so we have to use a little bit more logic to figure this one out. So when I'm looking at this, I know that every column and every row only has one of each unit. So my units for this one are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. They just have these pips on them instead of the digits. So I want to find a place where I can prove, for sure prove, one of the spots without having to guess. So I could look at this column, I could look at that column, because this one has 3 pips started and this one's empty. And this one has 3 pips and this one's empty. So I think I'm going to start with this column, and I'm going to ask myself, what number could this be? Could it be a 1? 1 does not have that filled in right there, so this cannot be a 1. Could this one be a 1? It could not be a 1 because look, it already has 2 on it, and that's already 1 extra for a 1. If we colored in the center, that would be a 3, so it can't be a 1 there. Can this one be a 1? Nope, because if 1 was colored in, it would be the center one and not right there. So what does this one have to be? I can prove it. It is a 1. So I'm going to call this one 1. And I think I might give myself a little hint and just put a 1 there, because my brain is not used to thinking of numbers like this. That's a little extra challenge, a little extra thinking that I have to do. So I have a 1, and now I'm going to look for a 2. Could this one be a 2? It could be the start of a 2 if I colored in this other top right corner. So this could be a 2. This one is a 2, but it also could be a 3. So I might write myself a little note. It could be a 2 or it could be a 3. This one we said could be a 2 or a 3 as well. And what about this one? This one has the top left colored in. I want to look up here at my pips. No top left, no top left, no top left. The only one with the top left colored in. So what does this one have to be? It has to be a 4. So I'm going to make it look like a 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay. And I think I'm going to write myself a little clue there. So we have 1 and 4. Now I don't know what these are yet, and that's okay. I can leave them like that and just come back as soon as I have some more clues from around the rest of the game board. So now I'm going to hop over to this column, because remember this one also had 3 started and only 1 that was completely empty. I know that this is a 1, and so that cannot be a 1 because I cannot have 2 1s in the same row. So if this middle part is colored in and it's not a 1 because a 1 is already right next to it as its neighbor, what is that? It's not 1. It's not 2 because 2's center is not colored in. It could be a 3 because 3's center is colored in, but it cannot be a 4 because 4's center is blank. So this one has to be a 3. So I'm going to make it into a 3. Call that guy a 3. Now, my logic tells me that there are only 2 pips that have the center dot colored in, like this last one. A 1 has the center colored in, and a 3 has the center colored in. I already have a 3. So what does this one have to be? It has to be a 1. It can't be a 2, and it can't be a 4, because 2's and 4's have a blank center. So this one has to stay a 1. And what does that mean about these 2? One of them has to be a 2. One of them has to be a 4. So let's look at 2. 2's look like this, 4's look like that. That could be a 2 or a 4. I could color this in and it would be a 2, or I could color all of these and that would be a 4. So I'm not quite sure yet if this one is a 2 or a 4. I'm going to write myself a little note, and I'm going to keep thinking, using my critical thinking to figure this out. One of these has to be a 2. I'm not sure which one yet. Same with this. One of those has to be a 2. So let's look and see. In this box, I have a 1 and a 3. So over here, I would have to have a 2 and a 4. But look what I have. I have a 4 right here in this row. So this cannot be a 4. That has to be the 4. That one is for sure the 4. And if I have a 1, 3, and a 4, what does that one have to be? It has to be a 2. So I'm going to make this one a 2. And now I feel like I'm kind of on a roll, because if I look at this bottom row, I see a 1, a 2, and a 4. So what does that one have to be? I can prove that it's a 3. I can use my logic and prove it, because I have to have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So I'm going to turn this one in the corner into a 3. And then I can prove this one 2 different ways. I could look at this row and see that I have a 1, a 3, and a 4, which would make this a 2. Or I could look in this 2 by 2 square and see that I have a 1, a 3, and a 4, and it would also have to be a 2. So that's just a way that I can check for accuracy to make sure that I'm using my logic to figure these out correctly. Now, where should I look next? This one has the top right corner filled in. It's not a 2 and it's not a 3 because I already have those in that column. So what does that have to be? I need a 1 and I need a 4, because here's my 2, 3. I need a 1 and a 4 to go here. Could this be a 1? Nope, because a 1 has the middle colored in, and this one can't have the middle colored in. So this one would have to be a 1. This would have to be a 4, because a 1 does not have that colored in the top right corner. Okay, so this one's a 1. That one's a 4. Now see, I like that I put these possibilities over here. I didn't know if it was a 2 or a 4, and I said I'll just leave it for now and come back to it later. Now I have proven, I've used my logic to prove that that is a 4. So this cannot be a 4. It has to be a 2. So I will color in the dots to make it a 2. Now, this one down here, I said it could be a 2 or a 4, but guess what? If this one's 2, can that one be a 2? Nope, because you cannot have 2 of the same unit in the same column. So this one is going to turn into a 4. I will cross out the 2 because that is not a 2, it is a 4. Okay, I proved that this one was a 2. This one I was not sure. I thought it was a 2 or a 3 because I had a 1 and a 4 down here. I already have a 2 right there. So what does that have to be? My options are 2 and a 3. It can't be a 2. That's a 2. So this one has to be a 3. Cross out the 2. It's a 3. If this is a 3, can that be a 3? Nope. It can't be a 3. It has to be a 2. So I'm just going to leave those 2 just like they are. Whew, I'm getting down to the end. Now look, I'm going to check my rows because I see that there's just 1 left on each row. This is a 1, a 2, and a 4. What does that have to be? If I have a 1, a 2, and a 4, it has to be a 3. So I will color this in, make it a 3, and then I can actually check this 2 ways. I could look at this row and say, oh, there's a 2, a 3, a 4. That has to be a 1. Or there's a 2, 3, 4. That also has to be a 1. So I've proven it 2 ways. Okay, so now I have to check to make sure that I have completed it accurately. So I'm going to start with my columns. I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Columns are good. Look at the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are good. Now I just have to check my 2 by 2 boxes. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, that was way trickier than the other ones we did this week. I hope that you will at least give it a try. It might take you a while to figure that out. It requires a lot of logical thinking and a lot of grit and perseverance, which means you do not give up. That's a really tricky one. So give it a try and see if you can figure it out. Have fun.